The first time I saw humans, I thought they were just another soft species looking for easy mining contracts on the outer rim. You know the type: too much confidence, not enough sense, always one bad decision away from becoming cosmic dust. But that was before Karsis Prime. That was before everything changed. Let me back up. My name is Vek'thar Onn, Chief Inspector for the Galactic Mining Consortium, and I've spent the last 40 cycles ensuring that every species follows the exact same protocols, the same safety regulations, the same boring, predictable procedures that keep the galaxy running smoothly. Boring? Absolutely. Necessary? Without question. Until the humans showed up and decided that rules were more like suggestions. The Karsis Prime mining operation was supposed to be routine. The planet had rich deposits of gravitic ore, the kind of material that powers our fastest ships and most advanced technology. Problem was, the ore sat 3 kilometers beneath an unstable crust that shifted every few hours due to tidal forces from Karsis Prime's twin moons. Standard protocol demanded we drill slowly, carefully, using phase-stabilized equipment that cost a fortune but kept everyone alive. Then came the human mining team from Earth Extraction Enterprises. Their lead contractor was a woman named Yuki Okonkwo, and I'll never forget our first meeting in the orbital station's briefing room. She walked in wearing a jacket covered in what I later learned were called patches, little fabric symbols indicating every dangerous operation she'd survived. There were a lot of patches. "Inspector Onn," she said, extending her hand in that bizarre human greeting ritual where they grab your appendage and shake it. "Looking forward to working with you." I gestured toward the hollow display showing Karsis Prime's geological survey. "Ms. Okonkwo, I trust you've reviewed the stability reports. The extraction protocols are quite specific." "Yeah, we read them," interrupted a short, muscular human with copper-colored skin and a wild grin. This was Rajesh Nakamura, their drilling specialist. "Fascinating stuff." "Really? But we've got a better approach." I felt my dorsal ridge flatten, a sign of irritation among my people. "The protocols exist because 17 species have attempted this extraction. 4 failed completely, losing entire crews. The others succeeded only by following the slow, expensive, incredibly tedious method," finished another human. This one tall and lean with dark skin and even darker eyes. Dr. Kwame Larson, their geologist. "We've done the math, Inspector. Your way takes 18 months and costs 40 million credits. Our way takes 6 weeks. 6 weeks. I actually laughed, that clicking, hissing sound my species makes when we encounter something absurd. "That's impossible. The crust shifts every 4 hours. You'd need to anticipate the shifts and work with them instead of against them," said Yuki, pulling up her own data on the hollow display. "See? Everyone treats Karsis Prime like it's trying to kill you. We prefer to think of it as dancing with a planet." This is what I was dealing with. The next human to speak up was their structural engineer, a woman named Isabella Chen. I know Chen is technically on my avoid list, but this one earned her place in the... She had silver streaks in her black hair, and the kind of calm expression that somehow made me more nervous, not less. "Inspector," Isabella said quietly, "we've logged over 200 high-risk extractions across 15 systems. Humans have a particular talent for working in environments that actively want us dead. It's kind of our thing. Your thing is getting killed in preventable accidents," I countered. "Sometimes," admitted Rajesh with that unnerving grin. "But we learn from it. Usually." The 5th member of their team, a broad-shouldered man named Dmitry Okafor, with a beard that somehow defied several laws of physics, finally spoke up. "Look, Inspector, we're not asking permission to ignore safety. We're asking permission to redefine what safety means in this context. Big difference." I should have said no. By every regulation in the consortium's charter, I should have shut them down immediately and assigned a proper, careful team to the operation. But here's the thing about humans. They don't just break the rules. They make you wonder why the rules existed in the first place. Against my better judgment, I approved their plan with one condition. I would personally oversee every phase of the operation from the orbital station. If anything, and I mean anything, went wrong, I was shutting them down. Fair enough, said Yuki, that patch-covered jacket somehow looking more ominous than reassuring. You won't regret this. Oh, but I would. Just not in the way I expected. The first week of operations, I spent approximately 90% of my time convinced I was watching 5 humans orchestrate their own deaths in the most elaborate way possible. They didn't drill during stable periods like every sane species would. No. They waited for the crust to shift, then used the planet's own tidal forces to help drive their equipment deeper. It's like surfing, Rajesh explained during one check-in, as if that meant anything to me. Surfing, I repeated flatly. Yeah, you know, riding waves. Using the energy that's already there instead of fighting it. Except these waves were tectonic shifts that could crush their entire operation in seconds. I watched through the monitoring feeds as their drilling platform literally rode the crust movements, massive stabilizer arms adjusting thousands of times per minute to keep everything level. It was insane. It was reckless. It was working. By the end of week 2, they'd reached depths that should have taken months. Their secret wasn't just better technology. Though their equipment was admittedly impressive, it was their complete willingness to operate on the edge of catastrophic failure at all times. Most species see danger and back away. Dr. Kwame explained during one of our increasingly frequent conversations. Humans see danger and ask, how close can we get without dying? And then we get a little closer, just to see what happens. That's not courage, I said. That's a species-wide death wish. He laughed, that strange barking sound humans make when amused. Maybe, or maybe it's the only way to do the impossible things. The things no one else will try. Week 3 brought the first real crisis. A major tidal shift hit 6 minutes early, catching even the humans off guard. I watched in horror as their entire platform tilted 45 degrees, alarms screaming across every channel. Any other crew would have evacuated immediately. The humans, hold positions. Yuki's voice crackled over the comm. Dimitri, redirect power the western stabilizers. Isabella, I need structural integrity reports on the drill column. Rajesh, keep that drill spinning. The drill is the only thing keeping us anchored right now, Rajesh shouted back, and he sounded excited about it. Excited. While plummeting towards certain death, for 8 minutes that felt like 8 hours, I watched them wrestle with forces that should have torn their operation apart. They didn't have a plan for this. There was no protocol for what they were doing. They were improvising, adjusting, trusting each other with a speed and certainty that seemed almost supernatural. When the platform finally stabilized, I realized I'd been holding my breath, a useless mammalian habit I'd picked up from spending too much time around humans. Everyone okay? Yuki asked, her voice steady despite what had just happened. Dimitri's got a broken arm, Isabella reported. Equipment is bruised but functional. We're still operational. Good, said Yuki. Let's keep drilling. You have an injured crew member, I interjected. Standard protocol requires, it's my left arm, Dimitri's voice came through, cheerful despite obvious pain. I'm right-handed. I'm fine. He was not fine. I pulled his medical readouts and saw enough damage to sideline any reasonable being for weeks, but humans, I was learning, had a very different definition of fine than the rest of the galaxy. Week 4 was when things got really interesting. They hit the gravitic ore deposit right on schedule, impossibly ahead of every projection I'd made. But the deposit wasn't stable. The ore's natural properties were interfering with the planet's already chaotic tidal patterns, creating feedback loops that threatened to tear the entire region apart. We need to extract it all at once, Dr. Kwame announced during an emergency briefing. If we leave any significant amount behind, the tidal resonance will build until the whole area becomes a permanent dead zone. Extract it all at once. I could barely process what he was suggesting. That's 300,000 tons of ore. The structural stress alone will collapse the mine shaft, yes, interrupted Isabella, pulling up new calculations. Unless we do something incredibly stupid. Finally, I said, my sarcasm translator working overtime. The human specialty, Yuki grinned. Inspector, we're going to create a controlled collapse. Use the tidal forces to compress the ore veins while we extract them. Then let the whole thing cave in behind us as we ascend. You're going to deliberately cause the exact disaster we've spent months trying to prevent, I said. Because apparently stating the obvious was all I could contribute at this point. Exactly, said Rajesh, and he actually winked at me. Winked. While proposing geological suicide. Here's what you need to understand about the next 72 hours. Every single species in the Galactic Mining Consortium would have called for evacuation, written off the operation as too dangerous, and returned home with whatever they'd already extracted. The humans looked at the same data, the same impossible odds, and saw an opportunity. They spent 6 hours reconfiguring their entire extraction system. Not upgrading it, mind you. Reconfiguring. They turned their mining platform into what Dr. Kwame cheerfully called a controlled avalanche with a purpose. The tidal shifts happen in predictable patterns, Isabella explained, walking me through their insane plan. We trigger a collapse in Sector 7, which creates a pressure wave. That wave pushes the ore toward our extraction point in Sector 12, where we've set up a rapid extraction array. Then the entire mine collapses behind you while you're still inside, I finished. Well, yes, she admitted. But we'll be moving fast. They plan to outrun a planetary-scale geological event. Because of course they did. I contacted the consortium. I told them what the humans were planning. I expected immediate shutdown orders, evacuation protocols, possibly even criminal charges for reckless endangerment. You know what I got instead? A message from High Coordinator Zixtar saying, "Let's see what happens." Turns out I wasn't the only one curious about just how far human audacity could stretch before snapping. Day 1 of the operation, they triggered the first collapse. The planet's surface rippled like water. I could see it from orbit. Seismic readings went completely off the charts. The humans rode it out, adjusting their position 17 times in the first hour alone, their platform dancing. Yes, dancing, across unstable ground that should have swallowed them whole. "This is amazing," Rajesh shouted over the comm, and I genuinely couldn't tell if he was terrified or having the time of his life. Possibly both. The ore started flowing toward their extraction point exactly as predicted, which somehow made the whole thing worse, because it meant they'd calculated correctly. It meant this impossible, ridiculous, absolutely insane plan was actually working. Day 2 brought complications. One of the twin moons entered a closer orbital period, intensifying the tidal forces beyond their projections. The collapse was happening faster than planned, and their extraction rate couldn't keep up. "We need more power to the extraction array," Yuki said, her voice finally showing strain. "Dimitri, can you reroute?" "Already on it," he replied. "But I'm pulling from life support and emergency systems. We'll have about 4 hours of breathable air if something goes wrong. Then we finish in 3 hours, Yuki said simply. "Rajesh, increase drill speed by 40%. 40% will burn out the drill core," Rajesh countered. "So, we burn it out? We only need it to last 3 more hours." I wanted to scream. I wanted to shut them down. I wanted to do anything except watch 5 humans gamble with their lives over a mining operation. But I also couldn't look away, because mixed in with the terror was something else. Something I hadn't felt in decades of careful, controlled, predictable mining operations. I was excited. Hour 1 of their final extraction, they pulled 60,000 tons of ore. Hour 2, 90,000 tons. By hour 3 their equipment was literally melting. I could see the heat signatures from orbit, but they kept going. The mine was collapsing behind them, sections of the shaft simply ceasing to exist as the planet reclaimed its own structure. 30 minutes to complete collapse, Dr. Kwame announced, his calm voice a stark contrast to the chaos in the background. "We're at 87% extraction. We need 100%, Yuki said. "Isabella, structural integrity." "What's structural integrity?" Isabella replied, and she was laughing. "Laughing? We're basically raiding a falling building while it's on fire. But we're still here." 20 minutes left, 93% extraction. The platform was ascending now, racing against the collapse, pulling ore as they climbed, 15 minutes. 97%. Dimitri's broken arm had given out, so Rajesh was operating his controls in addition to his own, somehow managing both with a dexterity that defied probability. 10 minutes. 99%. They were so close. So impossibly close. 5 minutes. 99.4%. The shaft beneath them was gone. Just gone, replaced by a churning mass of rock and compressed ore that was rapidly becoming a new, permanent geological feature. That's good enough, I said over the comm. Get out. Get out now. Almost there, Yuki replied. Yuki, almost there. 3 minutes. 100% extraction. Their platform burst from the surface just as the final collapse hit, riding a wave of displaced rock and superheated gas like they were surfing. Because apparently everything came back to that ridiculous metaphor. They made it to orbit. All 5 of them, alive. Impossible, but alive. With 300,000 tons of gravitic ore and a mining operation that had just redefined every safety protocol in the consortium. I should have been relieved. I should have been grateful they survived. Instead, I was furious. Do you have any idea what you just did? I demanded when they docked at the orbital station. You violated 17 safety protocols, operated equipment beyond failure tolerances, and came within, I checked the data, within 43 seconds of complete disaster. Yuki, still in her ore-stained mining suit with that ridiculous patch-covered jacket, just shrugged. But we didn't have complete disaster. We had complete success. There's a difference. You were reckless. We were effective, Dimitri corrected. His broken arm now properly treated but still in a stabilizer. There's a difference there too. I reported everything to the consortium. Every detail, every violation, every impossible success. I expected commendations. Maybe even a promotion for managing such a groundbreaking operation. Instead, I got the memo. The Galactic Mining Consortium's official response to the Karsis Prime operation was swift and absolute. Humans were hereby banned from all consortium mining operations throughout the galaxy. Permanently. Not because they failed, not because they caused damage, but because they succeeded in a way that made every other species look incompetent by comparison. The official reason cited unacceptable risk tolerance and unpredictable operational methods that threaten standardized safety protocols. The real reason: humans had completed in 6 weeks what should have taken 18 months. They'd extracted ore deposits that 3 other species had declared impossible to reach. They'd turned disaster into opportunity and made it look easy. They made the rest of us look slow, careful, afraid. So we're banned, Yuki said when I delivered the news. She didn't seem surprised, didn't even seem particularly upset. For being too good at our jobs, for being too dangerous, I corrected. For making everyone else nervous about their own limitations. Rajesh laughed that barking laugh. So, basically we're banned for being human. Essentially, yes. Dr. Kwame shook his head, that calm expression never wavering. Shame. We were just getting started. Had some ideas for that unstable gas giant in the Pelzar system that everyone says is untouchable. It's untouchable because it would kill you, I said. Probably, he agreed. But it would be one hell of a way to go. That's when I understood something crucial about humans. Something that every species in the galaxy would eventually have to confront. They don't succeed in spite of danger. They succeed because of it. Because when faced with impossible odds and certain death, humans don't back down. They lean in. They innovate. They laugh in the face of disaster and ask, "Is that all you've got?" 6 months after the ban, I quit my job with the consortium. Spent 40 cycles playing it safe, following rules, ensuring predictable outcomes. After watching 5 humans redefine what was possible, I couldn't go back to that. It felt like dying slowly when I'd seen what it meant to truly live. Last I heard, Yuki and her team started their own independent operation. No consortium oversight, no protocols, just humans doing what humans do best, attempting the impossible and usually succeeding out of sheer stubborn refusal to acknowledge reality's limitations. The galaxy is safer without humans in the mining industry. Calmer, more predictable, more boring. And somewhere out there, Rajesh Nakamura is probably looking at some horrifically dangerous planet and saying, "It's like surfing," while his team grins and prepares to rewrite another set of supposedly unbreakable rules. The consortium banned humans from mining operations. But they couldn't ban the question that keeps me awake at night. If humans can do the impossible with mining, what else are they capable of? What other industries are going to suddenly discover that their careful, safe, slow methods are obsolete the moment a human asks, "But what if we tried it differently?" I don't know the answer, but I'm terrified and excited to find out. That's what humans did on Karsis Prime. They didn't just extract ore, they extracted every assumption the galaxy had about limits and safety and acceptable risk, crushed them down to their component parts, and proved that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is play it safe. The ban stands. The rules remain. But somewhere in the back of every mining operation, every planetary extraction, every supposedly impossible job, there's now a question that won't go away: what would the humans do? And that question, my friends, is far more dangerous than any mining operation could ever be.